Check 1 2 1 2. All right, my friends, welcome back. I'm the Zim. This is the Zim video. Probably sounds a little more hollow in here because there's not as much stuff in here as there was. I'm getting ready to move out of this space because it is, not to bury the lead, it is official now. I am going to be teaching at Rochester Institute of Technology next semester. So let's break it down, shall we? So those of you that might be new today, I'm the Zim, artist and art professor. This is the Zim. This is the Art Professor's podcast. I got my undergrad at the University of Washington, and then a nice gap of time pursued, and then I got my graduate degree at the San Diego State University. I taught at San Diego State University after graduate school for a year, kind of part-time lecturer, and then adjunct, I guess you could say. And then I got a full-time lecturer position at Northwest Missouri State University, which was last year. And now I'll be heading off to Rochester Institute of Technology to be teaching with them for a year, visiting faculty position in the illustration department. So we'll go over that a little bit more. So let me break down a few things. What should I go through first? So I'll talk about the journey to this moment. So what's today's date? June 21st is June 22nd or 20th. Yesterday was basically the day that I officially agreed to work for them. We did a small negotiation on salary, which I'll talk about in a second. Before we confirmed it, they had to kind of check with their dean and those kind of things to make sure they could make some arrangements that way. So I'll talk about that thoroughly for a moment, but let me just go through the timeline. I already told you last podcast, which was a couple of weeks ago, about the interview process. I thought I killed it. So I don't know for fact what they thought in terms of if I was their first choice out of the interview process or if they asked another, because what happened, we interviewed 1 week. There was a week of kind of no nothing, and then the Monday of the third week, which they said it would take them 3 weeks to kind of finalize this process. So the Monday of the third week, early in the morning, 10 a.m. my time or so, they called me. I missed the call for some reason. I was shopping, I think, at the time. I missed the call and they left a message. And then that day I called back right away, but I think they're in and out of the office doing other things, whatever. They're just not in the office. And so it took them 5 hours then to call me back. And basically that whole day, Monday, I was just pacing all day. That's all I did was pace. I cleaned my house. I was just doing those kind of things, just waiting for the call back, because I just felt like if they're calling to ask me if I want the position, not to tell me I don't have it. I think they would have probably just emailed me if they said they went with somebody else. So, and so if, I don't know, maybe if they were using that week to make a decision between the interview and the call, then fine. Or if they called other people in that week and they declined and then they asked me, I don't know. I don't know what the scenario is, but the fact that it happened on a Monday makes me feel like I was sort of on the top of the list versus on the end of the list, but who knows? Maybe I'll never find out. Maybe I will. And once I do, I'll let you know if I do find that information out. So the interesting things for me, though, are the evolution. So I'm working on manifesting goals, manifesting ideas by writing them down. And I wrote down a while ago, let me just go grab it. I have a manifestation wall where I write down things. And I wrote down a while ago this message, if those of you that are watching, it says new teaching position before the end of May 2024. And I actually didn't get the position secured. Obviously, I didn't get it till June, almost, not quite a month after, 3 weeks after May, the end of May. But what I've kind of discovered is maybe I need to be more specific about the manifestation, because I did get the initial email for the position at RIT at the end of May. It was like May 30th or something like that, the day before the ending of my exhibition at Tennessee State University. So, or like the last, or was the last, maybe it was the day before, maybe it was the last day of the exhibition. I don't know. It was right there at the end of the month. So I did get the kind of the wheels started to go in motion at the end of May, but obviously I didn't get the position till middle of May, but it all worked out. I already went over the interview process that happened basically a week later, first week of May, I think it was. And then it was a week of waiting, and then a week, and then the beginning of this week is when I got the call to get the position. They offered me, so here's the offer in terms of salary. So on the posting, they mentioned the range would be 45 to, and I don't know, I honestly don't know what the etiquette is around talking about salary, but I'm okay with it because I want you to get value out of this, and maybe you are also thinking about visiting faculty type of work, or just want to understand what art professors are make. And so I want to get you that information as transparent as possible. So the listing was 45 through 49. They said written on the listing, and I knew that was low, but I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. When they called me, they offered me the 45, and I was like, well, that's not enough. And then they said, well, we can go up to 48 on the phone. So I was still like, well, that's still not enough. So I said, my target is 60, knowing that I wouldn't probably get 60. And so they said, well, we're going to have to ask other people if we can do a different rate. So they sent it to the dean's office and whoever else they needed to send to. It took them 3 days. That was on Monday. I guess that conversation was on Monday. I thought maybe it would be a quick turnaround. It didn't get back on Tuesday. Wednesday was Juneteenth, so a lot of things were closed. And then, so they got back to me fairly early in the day on Thursday, offered me 52. So I'm going to be making 52,000, and I didn't negotiate any farther than that. I honestly was thinking that was the number that they were going to offer. And I was also thinking they might have a range as well that they're willing to go up to, but I didn't argue it partly because I'm, this is kind of new. This is the first time I've ever negotiated a salary ever. Legitimately negotiated a salary. I remember back when I was younger working another job, I did talk about salary, but I didn't know what I was talking about at that time. So I ended up not really negotiating because it really wasn't that good of a salary. So, but this time it's a decent salary. I'm okay with it. It's a little less than I made this year, but I should be saving some because I'm starting to pay off some of my debt. And so my expenses have gone down. My rent will go up a little. I paid $600 this year a month. And then next year I looked on Craigslist already for studio apartments in Rochester area. And it looks like I can get something hopefully around the $800 range. It looks like there's some available units in that range. So I'm going to, fingers crossed, that's the target range I get. And then I will be driving though to work because I won't be able to just walk. I couldn't see, there wasn't anything listed on Craigslist just within walking distance of the campus. So I'm still gonna, I'm gonna start reaching out to people, you included, if you know somebody in Rochester area that might have a space to rent. I just want a non-shared space of some kind. It could be a mother-in-law. It could be attached to a larger house or unit, but as long as I have, my kitchen and bathroom is all my own and there's no shared spaces, my living, it's just not a shared space, but it could be attached to other places, I'm fine. Or a studio apartment or something like that. Let me know. You know how to get a hold of me, hopefully. But so that's kind of what the salary negotiations were like. A little bit, not totally stressful. I knew going into it. I mean, it was like, it's kind of like, I was telling my kids about it. It's kind of like asking somebody out on a date. It's like, there's a little bit of that nervous energy of like, I'm not going to agree to this first initial offer, but I want to see if I can get more out of it. And so I just did it knowing, I wasn't really going to say no to the opportunity. I mean, so that's kind of what happened there. Couple timeline things. So now it's just a matter of kind of talking out with the department and finding out what classes I'm going to teach. The school itself seems larger. I'll be teaching either a 3-4 or a 4-4. The contract is designed for a 4-4, which means 4 classes per semester, but there's a possibility I might only teach 3 classes in one semester, so which would be totally awesome if that works out that way. So, and I have no idea really what my classes I'll be teaching, but maybe next week we'll start the conversation. I just got an email from one of the department people saying we can start that conversation about what classes I'll be teaching. And I really don't, I mean, I'll teach anything, so I'm pretty much good to go. So I just need to know what they are so I can start developing my classes, and I'll keep you posted on that as it goes, as we go. Basically, it's really similar to the year starts very similar to how it started last year. About the middle of August like 14th, they want me there for new faculty orientation, and then classes start like on the 26th or something in that range, so the end of August. So the starting of classes is very similar to what it was last year. So there's a lot, like, as we've gone over this last year and you've experienced the journey of when the timing of things, how many places. So I applied to like 32 positions from starting, I don't know, when did I start applying? I think the first couple I started applying to was around the first of the year, but the bulk of them were within the last few months, like 20 positions within the last few months. And this was the only place that I interviewed, but I did get offered from one other place to interview, and maybe there'll still be more because there's still more that are out there pending that I'll just say I've found a position if they contact me. But in that window between Monday and today, I got an email from Lebanon College in kind of Pennsylvania area close to Pittsburgh that had a design position available that I really, I would have interviewed for, no question about it, if I didn't have this position. But since I had this position, pretty much good to go. I just told them I'm taking a different position because just on the surface level of what I knew about the 2 different schools, I'd much rather be at Rochester Institute of Technology. It just seemed like a place that I'd rather be at. So we're gonna experience the year here, and then I'll go over as time goes on, just recapping a little bit more about the experience. Now we have a really good documented journey of what it takes to get a position, applying, how many places did I apply to. I basically managed to secure this job a month before I secured my job last year. So hopefully next year I'll secure a job even earlier, depending on, what that looks like. And as my resume builds, I'll get more, it'll be easier for whatever institution's looking at my resumes to go, that's the guy we want, or we think he's great, or like the resume looks good, let's get him in here sooner. So I'll know where I'm going much sooner than I did this last year. Couple of things I wanted to talk about. In last podcast, I actually caught myself there toward the beginning of the podcast. There was something I was about to say that I said I'm not ready to say that yet. And this is the things that I wasn't ready to say. I did get sort of, not quite offers, but I sort of got 2 offers from the 2 schools that I've taught at already to come back. So a couple months ago, maybe a month ago, San Diego State University contacted me and said they had 2 classes I could teach per semester if I came back. And I asked them for a 3rd class because 2 classes wouldn't have been enough for me to make the commitment to come back, because I would have been able to get insurance, but I just wouldn't have made enough to live, because the cost of living in San Diego is pretty darn expensive. And so I asked them if they could get me 3 classes, I would say yes, I would come back for 3 classes. They weren't able to do that, so which is fine, because it wasn't like a desire to go back. It was just kind of like that, since nothing was really happening, I was, I guess let's just plan to go back to San Diego. I realize now that you've heard me before, I appreciate San Diego a lot more now that I'm kind of been there and left there than I did when I was there. So it's an easy place to live, weather-wise and other things. It's a fairly easy place to live. So I would have considered going back, and it's bigger city. ish. You know, it's got stuff. You know, it's not the worst place. Let's put it that way. It's not the worst place. And California is more liberal leaning, which is, I want to be around open-minded, open-hearted people. I don't want to be around conservative people. So I would have been okay going back to there if that's how it worked out. So, but it didn't work out. They said, no, we can't guarantee you a third class. So good luck, you know? So, which was fine. And then Northwest Missouri State University, turns out the second graphic design position. So there's two graphic design positions. So they replaced me with somebody, but then the other person that was there left just like a couple weeks ago. So I started getting a lot of emails and correspondence with them telling me about the position. They didn't offer me anything. They just said, this is what is the scenario. And I didn't want to mention that earlier because a big part of not wanting to go back there was thinking about like, what was the draw for me? And there really wasn't any significant draw of feeling good about going back other than the security of money. And I didn't want that to be the leading decision in any of my decisions I'm making. I'm trying to take the money part out of it and go, what makes me feel good? And I just felt much better not going, like just being open to the possibility that something might come up. And thankfully something did come up, which is I'm really excited about the adventure of going to a new, different kind of school, different area of the country. This New England sort of area, this Northeast area is really kind of where I feel I might end up long term. And so it'll give me a chance to kind of experience the area as well. So yeah, so it wasn't an easy time between getting this position and learning that the Northwest Missouri position was open, because I kept having this nagging feeling of, if I don't get something, well, I'd be perceived as being stupid for not taking that other position, even though I didn't want it. And it was just really, my mind was just racing with these thoughts, but I kept settling. I was like, you know, there's nothing about it that I'm not like, nothing makes me feel good about the decision. It was always a dread. So, and to me, that just was a sign that it wasn't the right thing. So I'm allowing myself to listen to my body and mind that way and going for it. So this is where we're at. We are now heading to Rochester. The timeline from now on, this unless something crazy happens, like I sell some artwork, my artwork within the next month, this will definitely, I think, be the last podcast I'm sharing until I start the new position in August. I'll probably do a podcast around the first couple of weeks of August. So we're at the end of June right now. It's June 21st, like we've said. I'll be leaving Maryville on the 27th. So if anybody's listening to this podcast that's from Maryville, tomorrow, Saturday, I'm hosting breakfast at my house. So you're welcome to come. So please come and join us. DM me for my address. But I'll be leaving on the 27th. I got one of those U-Box situations from U-Haul. They're going to be dropping it off on Monday. We're going to load it up. Me and my son mostly will be loading it up. My kids are here right now. I don't know if I mentioned that already. They're in the other room. My kids are visiting me for the week. It's been amazing. It's been the best thing ever. I was like, felt so good having them here. The first day they got here, I slept like a baby because I was just so happy that they were here. And we've been eating food and going on adventures. Had my first and probably only Kansas City barbecue the other day. We went down to Kansas City and got some good barbecue. So that was a good experience. And we've just been sort of adventuring around and just hanging out mostly. They're really enjoying the relaxing time and just being chill. So my daughter leaves on next Tuesday, and then my son and I will pack up the apartment and leave on next Thursday, heading out, driving across to the Northwest, where we have some family events and just hanging out in the Northwest for almost a month. And then I'll probably the last week of July start driving back across the country to Rochester. New York, and hopefully I'll have an apartment secured that I can just drive right up to and get that situation going. But yeah, that's about it for that. I don't know. There's probably more, but I'm kind of distracted because I want to get back to my kids and just wrap this up. But I was really excited. I wanted to share with you the experience. I wanted to let you know it's official now. I have a place next school year, another visiting faculty position or another 1-year position, which is what I want. I'll probably do that for a few more years at least, if not longer, because I really like the idea of being what I'm calling myself now as a visiting faculty specialist. So as I write my resumes for future and my cover letters, I'll kind of, maybe that'll be an incentive. They'll be like, this person knows how to come into an environment and adapt quickly and be, a part of it versus, because that could be a value to schools, knowing like we just need somebody for a year, but we want to make sure that person knows what they're doing. So, and I understand I'll probably never make the most by doing this. If I do tenure track and those kind of things, I would make more money, but that's okay. I don't need to make more money. I just need to have a good, enjoyable life. That's what I want. And then, I avoid all the trappings of tenure track, of that kind of routine, that kind of, committee stuff that you have to really get involved with. And since I will definitely help on committees and things for the year out there, but I won't be required to have that year after year commitment to things. And it can just be more about teaching classes and sharing knowledge and experience. And then hopefully my career will evolve into more speaking. One of the things that I'll be doing is, now I was given the suggestion by one of my old professor, was I should reach out to other schools in the area and tell them I'm there and see if they want to have me do an artist talk or be a part of any kind of panel or whatever, be a part of something in other art schools around the area. So Buffalo, New York's pretty close, and Pittsburgh's not even that far away. So I can email those places. I'm going to start emailing those places and say, hey, I'm teaching 1 year at Rochester Institute of Technology. I do a lot of work around social justice and, human rights and those kind of things. If you want to have somebody talk to your students about those kind of ideas, I'd be happy to do it. So hopefully we can manifest those, and maybe I can get paid for some of those as well. And the last thing I guess I'll talk about is trying to sell my Katanji, going back to that manifestation idea. So what I learned, because as I told you, the new teaching position, I said for the end of May 2024, and I wasn't specific enough. Maybe that's part of the problem with the manifestation, was I needed to say like contract signed at the end of May versus just the start of the idea. So I wrote down, those of you that are watching, I wrote down another couple ideas, which are basically the same thing, but it just says the Ketanji Brown Jackson drawings are sold as a set by January 1st, 2025, and the 7269 drawings are sold as a set by January 1st, 2025. So hopefully within the next, 6 months, and I'll be hustling, sending out emails, talking to more people, trying to get it, but I'm creating the manifestation of let's sell these bodies of work, and I know how much I want to sell them for, so hopefully I don't have to write that down, because I don't want that to be just written down. I want, whatever. Something did just happen this morning as I was laying down scrolling TikTok. Art Ed Guru. I always think his name is Ed, but it's not. It's education. It's Art Education Guru. Art Ed Guru reshared my exhibition from last month again. So I don't know what inspired him to do it again, but he shared it again, which was great. So hopefully there's some more people seeing it. So that's just, maybe that's part of this manifestation. Maybe the universe is already starting to align, saying we need to let more people know about these exhibitions. So let's share them with everyone. So that's what's happened. I did take pictures of all the 7269 drawings, but still not 100% confident they are the highest quality, because some of them seem a little fuzzy, and I don't know if I just let the autofocus focus on them versus adjusting it manual focus. So I might have to retake them, or what I'm thinking actually is once I get to RIT, seeing if somebody in their photo department wants a job and will take pictures of all these images for me to get me some really crispy photos. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm just not satisfied at this point that my images are good enough for printing. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. How we at? I don't know. It's about a half-hour podcast. That's all I got to say. So it's a short one. Yeah, there's probably other things I wanted to say, but I think that covers. That gives us a little documentation on what was happening. Really excited to have a new position secured, ready to go. Just taking it one day at a time. And that's where we're at. If you have any questions for me, let me know. Find the podcast on the YouTube channel and comment on the YouTube comment section, and I'll get them. Or you can find my email and those kind of things as well. That works as well. But yeah, thanks for listening. Subscribe to the channels, and until next time, as always, be loving, kind, and patient. Peace, my friends. Bye.